Welcome, I'm Midnight Redditor, and tonight we're going to go over the subreddit r/askreddit, where OP beats away his kidnapper with his own hockey stick. So sit back and relax, because we all know nothing good happens after midnight. The question being asked tonight is, people who have been kidnapped, what is your story? Our first post comes from Purple Dinosaur. When I was really little, my family and some friends went to Hong Kong. We visited a fishing place where there were a lot of boats, almost like a harbor, but very crowded. I remember seeing a van with policemen standing outside chatting happily. My mom asked my dad to take care of me for a while she went to look at some stuff. Being the little kid I was, I wandered elsewhere, and suddenly a man held my hand really tightly. At that point, I remember it never occurred to me that I was about to get kidnapped. I thought the dude just mistook me for his daughter. My thoughts of this repeated in my head, and I felt a little scared after a while. It was weird because the guy didn't drag or pull me, he just stood there. Thankfully, my mom saw this and basically stared him down, and he ran away. I have no idea why he ran away so easily, but I like to think it was God who helped me. A few years back, my sister and I were talking about it. She said she remembered a dude, same description of what I remembered him looking like. Asking questions to her and my friend like, where do you come from? How old are you? And creepily touching their arm. Thank God I'm safe. And let's just hope those policemen caught him and everyone else is safe. It's honestly terrifying to know that sometimes you just can't go out and about by yourself because you never know what's going to happen. A lot of people think, oh, it's never going to be me. But the reality in life is, you never know. Our next post comes from ThatGuy278. A guy I know, who subsequently died years later, was mugged on his way home from school. So here's how it goes. Across the road from our school is a long alleyway that cuts through some houses and leads into the next block. It is very common for us to walk through this alleyway to get to the main road nearby. Around 3 or 4 p.m. it's usually quite crowded, but after 4 it's kinda dead. My friend had a sports practice after, so he stayed late. He walked through the alleyway and he was confronted by 2 guys who tried to bundle him into a van or something. The alley is quite long, and the road at the end is a cul-de-sac, so they figured this was a safe place to pounce, since there was nobody around to witness anything. You see, my friend plays hockey. He beat the ever-living crap out of them with his hockey stick, and then he ran back to school to report what had happened. The next day, everybody was talking about it, and the principal made an announcement about it to the entire student body. He warned us to be careful when we headed home. My friend was not seriously hurt, but it rattled him good for the next few days. We all thought he was a hero for beating up his would-be kidnappers. I couldn't imagine going to kidnap someone, and then all of a sudden him just pulling out a hockey stick and then beating the hell out of me. I wouldn't be able to face any of my comrades after that. Because the conversation, I feel, would go something along the lines of, hey, you get that kid you were after? Nah, man, this high school student beat me up. Our next post comes from Escargo. When I was 10 and my sister was 12, we, Americans, were living in Isfahan, Iran, where my dad, a diplomat, was stationed. Our mom went on vacation to France that summer, while the 2 of us ran wild with no supervision. Near the end of summer, our dad told us we were living, but didn't say where. A 10-hour drive to Tehran on dirt roads, then a flight. During the flight, we walked back to where our dad was seated and asked when we would be back in the States. Well, because we assumed that's where we were going. But he said that wasn't where we were headed, but wouldn't say where. We landed in Madrid and were met in the airport by a British woman about our dad's age. He introduced us to her. This is Pat, your new mother. You'll never see your old mother again. We stayed in Madrid for a few days, and Pat gave us things we have never been allowed to have, like candy, gum, and comic books. Then we all flew to Majorca, the island. There, Pat had a vacation home. Her 3 kids were also there. Pat's kids and the 2 of us would walk the beach every day, as I recall, alone, but there may have been a nanny with us. One day our dad told us we needed to break the news to Pat's 3 kids that they would be getting him as their new dad. What a coward he was being. After this, we all flew to London, and Pat's kids went to boarding school. And after a while, so did my sister and I. We were stashed at Hollington Park School for Girls in St. Leonard's-on-Sea, a school straight out of Dickens' novel that has since been closed. We were in different classes and were forbidden to speak to each other. Once we got around the rule by getting the other girls to stand around us so we could see each other and ask, "What's going on with Mom and Dad?" But we really had no clue. So meanwhile, our mom had finished her vacation and returned to Isfahan to an empty house. She had no idea where we were, and neither did the embassy where our dad worked. Spoiler alert, he was relieved of a lot of his duties after this. She went through the house and found a bunch of brochures for boarding schools in France, Switzerland, and England, and figured we might be at one of them. So she sat down and wrote a letter to each of the churches of her religion in those 3 countries and asked members to ask the local boarding schools to see if they were there. Amazingly, that's how we were found, and she came right away to get us before Christmas. We were all on a plane, this time for sure headed back to the States. She asked us if we wanted to go back to school or stay in the States, and we didn't even have to think twice. Our dad, in the meantime, had spent all the college funds our rich bank president grandfather had set up for us and our 2 much older siblings on Pat, who dumped him shortly after. Our parents were also divorced very soon after. Years and years later, I tried to get him to talk about the fiasco, but all he would say is, "That was a very difficult time." He had his reasons for what he did, I guess. Probably our mom's crazy religion played a part. My sister and I survived, but speaking strictly for me, I wouldn't wish that experience on anyone but a budding author like myself. That dad honestly deserves the worst dad award. One, taking his kids away from their mother without her knowing, and then spending their college money on some random chick. That's just cruel. Also, I don't know about you guys, but I want to know what the mom's religion was.